now you're going to be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, kind of at the time when the spotlight was on you, kind of more than any other time, was kind of around that Echolalia album, Official Fiction. Was that? I mean, that's where I first heard you guys on commercial radio, but of course you can tell me if it was earlier.
Yeah, no, I think that was when. I think Echolalia was definitely when, you know, like we started to get played on like Triple M,
right,
and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. And
is that a bad? I'll say a bad thing. I mean, Triple J's kind of looked at as Triple J's kind of seen as cool. Triple M's the corporate. To me, I would have thought someone in your position, it's kind of cool if any station's playing your. What's wrong with that? Someone playing your music?
That's exactly right. I don't give much thought to. Yeah. You know, we just make music and we're just happy for anybody to hear it.
Yeah.
I think it would be the height of snobbery to be selective about who you want to enjoy your music.
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
Yeah.
That's just not how I think. We are just constantly appreciative that people show up to our gigs,
yep,
and that, you know, people are interested in what we do. You know, there's no entitlement, there's no expectation. It's very hard to you know, sustain a long career as a band in this country, and as I say, we always just kept our focus on playing a lot of gigs and just maintaining a, you know, just a connection with the people who come to see us.
Yeah. Is there any favourite gigs you got over the years? Because I saw your David Bowie support, which I would have thought would be fun, but
that was amazing. I mean,
yeah,
like we touring with David Bowie was definitely a highlight. But we just love playing. I loved it. I just, you know, I would play every night, and I just think, I don't know. I just think it's important to keep it simple and don't wander too far away from the reason you started doing this in the first place. It's because I really like playing my guitar and singing and playing music with my friends, and then the fact that there's people there watching and listening is just still amazing to me.
Yeah.
And so I just think if you just keep that at the centre, and don't worry too much about which radio stations are playing you, or, you know, whether your video clip is going to go viral. You know, all that stuff is, you can't control any of that. So don't try and control things that you have no control over. The things I have control over is, like, you know, booking a tour, and playing a great show.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the internet, which I want to ask you about. I mean, that's just in your career. I don't know. The internet was invented back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And then now the rise of the internet is just crazy. So has that made a big difference to you guys? I mean, is it bettered things? I mean, in some ways, people can kind of see your videos, you know, at the touch of a button, and
that's
listen to your music.
Says about the internet. It's like, it means that the whole world, anyone in the whole world can, you know, listen to you or watch your video. It's like, well, it means that theoretically they can, but why would they? How are they? They don't suddenly, just because the internet exists doesn't mean that you suddenly are aware of, you know, bands all over the world. Like, I'm sure there are 1,000 bands in Germany I've never heard of, and the internet didn't suddenly mean that now I've heard of them.
Right.
The internet's amazing. It's great, and it's, I don't know. It's been interesting being, you know, in the music industry over the last, you know, 20 years and watching everything change as drastically as it has. But really, what all it is, it's a story of people in positions of power in the music industry, burying their head in the sand and trying to pretend that this thing will go away.
Right.
And
you think it's still like that? Really?
No, not anymore. It's moved well past that.
Right.
But, you know, for a long time there, it was just like, you know, people are going to listen to music on the internet. That's, you know, you can't stop technology.
No.
You can't stop people from seeking out the most convenient means of, you know, listening to music, any more than you can stop, you know, fast food.
Yeah, right.
So embrace it, you know. I just think that, you know, they just let so much time pass that they didn't adapt their business model, and now they've got a real battle on their hands trying to win people back to the idea of, that music has a value, and that that the people who put their time and resources into creating this music deserve, some, remuneration for that.
Yep.
And now they've got to sort of win that battle, with a generation or two generations of younger people who have never had to pay for music before.
No,
That's not their fault.
Yeah. Actually, this was another thing I wanted to ask, going back to kind of songwriting process and your influences, because you were influences, like we grew up in a Guitar Hero era. Do you see an influence, kind of an Eddie Van Halen influence in your playing, a Kirk Hammett influence in your playing at all? Is that any that stood over? I mean, I don't hear a lot of guitar solos in Something About Music, Paul Dempsey, does it?
Yeah, look, they were definitely influences.
Yeah.
And, like, I can finger tap because of Eddie Van Halen and Kirk Hammett.
And I want to see it.
And, I can kind of play fast stuff and play scales and stuff because, guys like that. You don't... And I still listen to Slayer.
Oh, right.
Frequently.
Yeah.
And, some death metal stuff. I occasionally just, in a certain mood, that's just what you want to put on in the car. It's like to me, it's like a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
I can listen to like a whole lot of country music and a whole lot of, sort of singer-songwriter stuff, like with beautiful complex arrangements and really thoughtful lyrics, and then sometimes I just want to go and just sort of have my face melted. It all has value.
Has your career allowed you to meet and play with any of these guys? Did you play with Keith Urban? Did you do something with Keith Urban?
I did. Yeah.
And tell us about that.
Well, that was, I guess, last year or the year before. I just got a call. I hadn't actually met Keith before, but we have a lot of, kind of mutual friends, and he was playing in Melbourne, and I just got a call. Do you want to come and jump up and do a song?
Yeah.
Like, sure. Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
We got to hang out with Sepultura.
Okay.
And we toured with Metallica. We did a big day out tour where Metallica were the headliner, and met some of those guys. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about your David Bowie meeting? How did you? Because I love Bowie.
Yeah,
I love that concert. Did you get to chew the fat with him?
Yeah, we did. He was to our surprise as well, because there's sort of with tours on that scale, and you're the kind of opening act, there's not really an expectation that you're going to be like hanging out with the headliner, but he really did kind of, his whole sort of touring atmosphere, his whole crew and his band and everything, it was very, it was like his own sort of, I don't know, his whole huge entourage, everyone from the stage techs through to the, the kind of chef and stuff like that. They were very much part of his organisation, and you could just tell that everyone really enjoyed being part of that group, and he had a real sort of personal touch, and he was really friendly to us. We weren't sure whether we'd even kind of see him off stage or whatever, but he made it pretty clear straight away. He was like, you're all welcome, come have dinner with us, hang out. He'd stick his head into our dressing room. He was very warm and welcoming.